Hello and welcome back to the Entertainment Vortex. Today we are at Brendan Theaters watching A Star is Born. Now let me start off by saying I was extremely excited about this movie. The trailer itself would get me teary-eyed every time I saw it. It has this energy to it that really resonated with me. So with that being said, I went into this movie with some pretty high expectations and was not at all disappointed. This movie is something special. The acting is superb. The story is superb. The emotional impact is beyond superb. This is one of the best movies I've seen this year, and I am extremely happy that I got to see it on the big screen on opening day.
So we've seen the trailer for A Star is Born probably 100 times in front of different movies that we've watched over the course of the last 6 months. The trailer is enticing. It has great music. It has great beats. It definitely steps up that emotional game, and it prepares you for what lies ahead when you sit down to actually watch this film. There are so many emotions that rush to you during different scenes of this film. It has just a weight to it at all times. Times of great happiness and great sorrow, and it just runs the gamut of emotions very well. The acting performances are absolutely outstanding. Bradley Cooper is excellent. This is probably one of his best roles to date. And that's saying something. Bradley Cooper is a famed actor. He is very popular at this point in time. He's been in a lot of really good things. This is one of the things on the top of that list now. I don't know if the singing was actually him, but if the singing was him, his voice is actually excellent as well. And that might be something that he could do with his spare time if he wanted to pursue a music career. But in order to stand up next to a Bradley Cooper type performance, especially when he's on his A game, the fact that Lady Gaga, a very new actress, not something that's super in her wheelhouse. She was on American Horror Story, and she's been in a couple of other little things here and there, but being a lead in a feature film, that's a whole other can of worms. And I understand that being that it's about music, that it kind of is adjacent to the talents that she's shown the world previously, but that woman is a phenomenal actress. There's plenty of things in her future if she keeps it up. The ability to cry on command is something that you don't necessarily get from a lot of people, and she brings on the waterworks at a moment's notice, and it works in every scene she's in. You want to see her journey. You want to see her get from the beginning to the end. She just puts in a great performance.
The standout for me is Bradley Cooper. Lady Gaga did an amazing job. We'll talk about her in a moment, but Bradley Cooper knocked it out of the park. I've seen him in many previous movies, but you can see in this specific role that he nuanced it. There are layers in this role, and the way he carries himself, and the way he moves, and the way he looks, and his eye contact, and how he breaks it, and just all the nuances to this performance were absolutely stunning. You are immediately drawn to him, and at the same time you see how he's flawed. It's something special. I think award season is going to really recognize him, and if they don't, that is a serious crime. Now let's talk about Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga did a fantastic job. Once again, I feel her performance was nuanced. There are some really hard scenes she did that were really emotional, and I think she nailed it. A couple of the scenes towards the beginning were a little rough, but I'd say 98% of the stuff that she did in this movie was amazing. The two of them together had a fantastic chemistry. I feel that they worked together as a unit, and they worked together as a couple, and everything they played off of each other worked. I was really impressed with it. Dave Chappelle did an amazing job. He wasn't in the movie that much, but he did an amazing job for what he was. Sam Elliott also did an amazing job. This was just a list of stunning performances. When you take those performances and you put it with the script, which is a known script, I guess this has been made multiple times already, all the way back to the 50s the first time. You take that known script and you put this talent and this raw acting talent in there, you just have a spectacle. It is something to behold. You add in a sprinkle of good music, and you just can't help but get drawn in. It's hard to look away.
So with this type of a film, you're hoping for good quality music. They show kind of little tidbits of it here and there in the trailer. The music stands up. The lyrics are well written. The melodies are super catchy, but they also have that heavy emotional weight to them as well. These songs are definitely ones that you'll listen to on a sad day to try to get yourself out of those doldrums. They definitely have a lot of punch to them. I highly suggest, even if you don't go out to see the movie, check out the soundtrack. It is superb. One of the biggest things that I noticed, aside from the music, aside from the great acting performances, and not just Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, but all the way down the list, all of the performances were super believable and super interesting. They all had a really, really good tone to them, and they all meshed together really well. The biggest thing that I noticed was the cinematography. It almost had this older, like high concept style to it in a lot of ways. From the title card all the way through to the end, just the way that they shot scenes, it just had this really warm and inviting tone to it. And it was just another layer that makes this movie excellent. Typically with a movie like this, you wouldn't see something where the cinematography is so high concept in places. And I just felt like it was really well done, it was really well shot, and I enjoyed that part of the movie even more alongside of great music and great performances.
It's not a perfect movie in the sense that there are some pacing issues towards the middle. But with that being said, I was so intrigued and so locked into the story and these characters that the pacing issues just kind of glided by me. I was willing to sit them out to find out what happens next. This is something to behold. Now, I will say this, it is an emotional roller coaster. You are going to have your ups, you are going to have your downs, you are going to cry from happiness, you are going to cry from sadness. Just bring some tissues, you're going to cry. Even one of the people I went with that normally doesn't cry in movies ever still got teary-eyed. This is one of those movies. It's gonna be an emotional roller coaster. So be ready for that. If you watched this trailer and at all thought that this was something you'd be interested in seeing, you owe it to yourself to go watch this movie in theater. The music and the emotional impact you're going to gain from seeing it on the big screen is worth every penny of the ticket.
For me, I drew a comparison, and I don't know if this is something that everyone will pick up on, but this had a lot of similarities for me to Almost Famous. Almost Famous is a slightly divisive movie, but it was something that I really enjoyed as a kid. It was something that I watched with my mom, which was a little weird, but it has this like back and forth between rags and riches kind of story to it, and it just has really enticing music, and this film has that as well. I think that the emotional punch for this one is definitely a lot higher, but it definitely has that like flow between happiness and sadness, that flow between funny and serious, and it all blends together and it makes a really cohesive film that just feels real and like it could have happened to someone.
So I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. The reason I'm going to give it a perfect score, which we do not do very often anymore, this is the most powerful movie I've seen in a very long time. It resonated with me from the very beginning, and by the time I got to the end, I was emotionally exhausted. I'm glad I saw it. I don't know if I could see it again, because like I said, emotional roller coaster, but I am extremely glad I saw it. And anybody that asks me will get an enthusiastic 2 thumbs up. You need to watch this.
So we're going to be unanimous across the board on this one. This is a 10 out of 10. This is in contention for one of my top 5 movies of this year. Definitely something that I want to see again, and I will definitely be taking the wife to this one very soon.
If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We give you multiple videos every single week. And we have t-shirts available if you're interested in those as well. Those are available down in the description below. We hope you'll follow us into the Vortex. We'll see you next time.